Hello. Just gonna wait a couple minutes for people to hop on. So I got 50% requesting to talk about holiday stress and then 50% requesting living in flow. So I'm going to talk about living in flow today, and then I'm probably going to do another live tomorrow about holiday stress, because I think it is really important. There's so much emphasis on being joyful and grateful and all that stuff around this time of year, but not enough awareness around the, depression, isolation, the stress of buying gifts and attending social gatherings and family gatherings and all that good stuff. But today we're going to talk about flow, and the two topics are very tied in together. But I'll dive more into holiday stress in particular tomorrow. But today we're going to talk about flow. Hi everyone. Thank you for tuning in. So this whole idea of living in flow, if you are into personal development at all, hi Steph, thank you. Yeah, if you're into, personal development, or like in the kind of world of just understanding different energies and different, ways to grow and evolve, a lot of coaches and a lot of just people in the self-help world will talk about surrender and flow. Does that like sound familiar to anybody? But just let me know if this is making sense. But the whole idea of surrender, people are always like, let it go, trust the process, things like surrender when you're having issues with life, like where you feel like you're trying to control everything. Everyone's always like, surrender and like lean into the flow of where life is taking you, and like the flow of your journey, and surrendering to the process, all that stuff. And yes, those are things we should be doing, or those are things that will make our life easier. But for me personally, I don't think I really understood what that meant. Like, that in theory it makes sense. Like, yes, if I'm trying to control things, I should just surrender it, and then that's how I live a life of ease. But for a long time I was thinking about what does surrender actually look. Oh my god. That was scary. I'm at Luminary, and I'm in the meditation room, and I guess like the lights are motion centered, so I guess I have to move around more. So yeah, back to what I was saying. What does surrender mean? What does flow mean? It's something that I've understood in theory. I've understood the concept, but actually applying it to my life has been challenging because I don't really know what it is. Like, I feel like everyone just says, yeah, let it go. Yeah, surrender. Yeah, live in ease, live in flow. And it's one of those things. It's like, okay, yeah, easier said than done. But like, how do I do that? And for me, the way I think, it's always like, okay, what are the steps I need to take? What are the actions I can, do? How can I perform so that I'm living in flow? And then anytime I brought this concern up, or anytime I ask this question to like any coaches that I worked in the past, or like if I'm just trying to do my own research, it's always like, it's not something you do, it's just something you are, and just surrender. And like I'm talking really, kind of sarcastically, but it's like I just couldn't. I needed somebody to show me how. And that's like another thing where they're like, a lot of spiritual coaches will be like, well, it's not up to you to know how, right? Sure, some of you are familiar with this. Have heard this before. But a few days ago, I was speaking to one of my coaches, and I feel like that was the first time that I really understood what flow meant. And we can rewind this a little bit, and about like a year, we'll start the story here. About like a year and a half ago, I was going through some crazy identity crisis, right? Like, shaved my head, I left my job, and I had no idea where my life was going. I had no idea who I was. Like, I felt like in my 20s, I was so sure of who I was and where I was going and all that. Like, living in this structure, on this path, like living out this dream that I had set for myself. And, here I was completely lost in my own life and down to like my identity. And then I asked myself, who am I? Who am I really? And I couldn't answer it. And I opened up Google on my computer, and then I typed in, who am I? And this article, the first link that popped up was an article in Psychology Today titled, Who Am I? So I clicked it, and then it said, people who are searching, for their identity, searching for who they are, the issue, basically, like, the issue is with asking the question. That's the actual core of the problem. Because when we ask ourselves, who am I? You're assuming that you are something that is fixed. Like, you are one thing, or you are, a series of things that define who you are. And then that's kind of like what you have to live by, or how you have to move through the world, or move through your life as being that one thing. But we're not fixed beings. We're fluid, right? We're constantly growing, constantly evolving. Every moment we experience something new, so we become a different person. We have a different mindset. Every interaction, every experience changes you a little bit, because now you have that experience under your belt, right? So we're constantly changing and constantly fluidly flowing through life, and we're never a fixed thing. But we're kind of taught and programmed to believe that hold on, just waving to you guys. I see you. Oh wait, what happened? Oh my god, I'm so bad with technology. Oh, I got the light. Okay, just making sure you guys are awake. Okay, so where was I? Basically, we're kind of taught that we are who we are. Like, our identity is defined by our likes, our dislikes, the way we look, our profession, all of these labels, all of these just, I don't know, there's no other word for it, like labels, categories, like whatever, like however we define or however we're taught to define ourselves is what we identify with. So it's really, like, for me, it was about changing the story that I was telling myself, changing who I really was without my hair, right? Because I shaved my head. Without my hair, like, so losing my appearance, losing my career. Who was I when I didn't have anything on the outside? Like, when I was really stripped down to my core, like, who is that person? And at the time when I read the article, I felt like I believed it. I felt like, yes, I'm a fluid being. I'm not one thing. I'm not fixed. But at the same time, it really took that whole year and a half, whatever, give or take, that it took all that time for me to really, like, for it to sink, for that information to sink from my head into my heart. And I realized this the other day while I was talking to one of my coaches, that was like literally the first time I understood the message of the article. And, since, whatever started at the time that I researched that article was this kind of search for my authenticity, right? Who I am at my core. And I've been searching and searching and searching and kind of just like, okay, let's get rid of all these stories. Let's get rid of all these limits. Let's see who I am without external validation, without identifying with a job or a relationship or an appearance, whatever. And I realized, a couple days ago that my search for authenticity has been based around the fact that I still think that who I am at my core is a fixed being. Like, I keep thinking like, okay, who am I? Who is my authentic self? But then behind the intention of finding that, I'm assuming or expecting to find something that is fixed. Like, okay, I am this kind of person. I do these kind of things. I behave this sort of way. I'm motivated or have drive or I'm successful. Whatever I thought I was looking for was setting me up for failure because I was trying to find something that doesn't exist. I was trying to find a fixed being. Like, I was trying to find this person, this woman who is a certain type of way and holds certain labels and is defined, whatever. Like, I don't know, I was looking for like a list of things that I am, and then a list that I can kind of like reference back to as I'm moving through life. But that's not what it is at all. Like, going back to that article, who am I? We are not fixed beings. We are constantly growing, constantly evolving. I think it's like every 7 years we get a whole new body, like whole new organs. Every 48 hours we're making new cells. We're literally not fixed. And, you can take this concept and apply it to your life. Well, this is how I am internalizing it. I've moved through life up until this point very much in my masculine, right? I was taught you have to set goals and then achieve them. Like, get a college degree, done. Get a job, done. Get married, done. Have a kid, whatever. All the things that you think that you need to accomplish, and then actually doing it, like actually taking the steps, taking the actions to accomplish those things, is masculine energy. And there's nothing wrong with masculine energy. Everyone has masculine and feminine. Oh my God. So the issue is that I wasn't flowing. Like, I wasn't going back and forth between my masculine and feminine. I was staying in my masculine. And because I was staying in my masculine, I was not balanced. And so it was creating, like, I was coming from a place of insecurity because I was trying to control everything in my life and every aspect of my life, because that's like what they call toxic masculinity, when you're like overly trying to control, because the feminine on the opposite side is about trusting and receiving and allowing. So me trying to control everything is me not trusting, right? Not trusting that I can have these things, or like I can attract these opportunities, or I can reach success without like actively taking, actions towards my goals. I don't know if that makes sense. But basically, I was living in my masculine for a very long time because I thought that I had to be independent, and I thought that I had to do everything myself, and I kind of blocked support or help from anybody because I believe, like in my head, I was like, I need to do this on my own. I need to achieve all these goals. And then I did all the things that I wanted to do, like I set out to do. And it served me at the time in my life because it allowed me to get to the point, like to get here where I am right now. But now it's not really working for me because now it's like I can feel, not because I'm so much more in tune with myself, I can feel that I'm out of balance. Like I can feel that there's this part of me that wants to be in my feminine and wants to receive and wants to attract and wants to, trust that everything's going to work out for me, right? Because it is. Like everything always works out for everybody. Like if you think about all the bad days you've had, you've made it through like 100%. And then you've gotten to where you are right now. And then you're going to get to the next point and the next point and the next point. Like you're always being taken care of. But going back to the whole idea of flow, how I am processing it is that when you are in touch with your authentic self, if you think about your authentic self as being fluid, so what does fluidity mean? Like it's really being conscious and being intentional every single moment about who you are and what you need to do, or who you need to be, or what is truly like what is in your heart to act on moment to moment. So it's the opposite of being fixed, right? So we're not one thing. We're not either feminine, either masculine, or like any of the personality traits that we assign to ourselves. We're not any of those things, but it's about picking and choosing which ones work for you in the moment, right? So maybe sometimes I need to be in my masculine where I'm taking action, right? If I'm creating content or like even like doing this live, this is a masculine energy because I'm taking action, right? I'm creating, I'm just creating like an online presence and like putting my work out into the world. This is me and my masculine. But then sometimes you need to be in your feminine. Like if I need to receive, which I'm very challenged with, like because I was in my masculine for so long, it's difficult for me to receive anything, like receive support, receive compliments. It's something that I'm constantly working on, and it's just a matter of practice because I haven't been used to being in my feminine, so it's something that's just new, and then just something that I have to kind of slowly incorporate, take moment by moment. But it's important to be, you have to be in both, like just depending on what's happening in your life. But the whole, like going back to the whole concept of flow, if I'm in my masculine, then the universe supports me with the feminine, right? So whatever I'm giving to the world, like all of you guys that are watching me, you are receiving. So you are in your feminine right now and you are supporting me, right? So you're receiving, and then like you're attracting whatever I'm saying right now, whatever you're listening to, and however you're perceiving the information that I'm giving you is exactly what you need in this moment. And that's the universe's role in your life, right? So it's necessary for me to listen to that part inside of me that's like, do an Instagram live today. Like this is completely unprompted, right? Like I just randomly was like, okay, maybe I should do a live. And really honoring that part of me that's like, giving me messages and telling me, like, your intuition, your gut, like, is telling my gut today was telling me to do a live, and it's probably because somebody needed to hear it, and I needed to hear it, and I need to do it. So really going back to flow, really understanding that my gut, my intuition is telling me what I need to do and what I need to be moment to moment. So I have to constantly check in with myself. So when I am in my authenticity, which right now in particular is doing an Instagram live and being in my masculine, then I can move with the universe instead of against it. So I'm moving in flow with the universe by being in my masculine and then being balanced out with the feminine, which is what everyone here is giving me. And then maybe after this, I'll be in my feminine, and then I'll receive whatever. Maybe somebody will message me and say, like, oh, something you said really resonated with me and I needed to hear that, or whatever. Like, receiving and trusting, like, that what I did was the right move. Trusting myself, trusting the process, the universe, whatever you want to call it. So it's about playing your role, because, even if you're not spiritual, everyone has a part in the world, right? Everyone is a piece. If you're religious, we're all sons of God, right? So we're all part of God, and we're all parts of the universe. So we have to be in our authentic role so that we can fit in with the rest of the universe. So if we're living in some sort of image of ourselves, which can show up as, like, maybe you're in a social interaction and then you say something because you feel like you have to, like, break an awkward silence, or you have to get somebody to like you, or you have to be professional, or whatever, like things that we tell ourselves, like stories that we tell ourselves that force us to live in an image of ourselves, like, because that's the safe thing to do. I don't know, like, does that make sense? But a lot of the time we live not in our authenticity. Like, we live according to what we think people expect of us, like what we think people want to see, or like what we think people will like if we do, So when we're living from that place of, like, inauthenticity, then we're not playing our authentic role in the universe, and so we kind of butt heads and we don't allow for flow. So I'll give you an example. Because I live in my masculine, like, I've lived in my masculine most of my life, this is the energy that I bring in my relationship. So me being in my masculine energy, trying to control everything, makes it difficult for my partner to be in his masculine, because he can't support me in the way that I want to be supported. Like, it's masculine and masculine, it's opposites, they're not. I know it's like, it's weird, like, side note, because there's like, opposites attract, the saying opposites attract, but then there's like another saying that's like, oh my god, like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but I feel like there's like contradicting statements around, like, opposites and, like, things that are alike. But anyway, when you're talking about balancing energy, like, it's yin and yang, right? So it's feminine, masculine, and there's yin and yang in you. Like, we all have masculine and feminine. We all have just polarities. As humans, we have polarities. So it's like, okay, happy, positive, and then sad, negative, whatever. And then it's like day and night, right? Awake and asleep. We're constantly living in polarities, and there's masculine and feminine energy within all of us. But then also, when we're in each energy, our relationships, the way we move through our relationships, if we're flowing in our relationships, it's also masculine and feminine energy balanced within the relationship. So if I'm always in my masculine, then I can never receive support and receive or attract whatever I need from my partner. Does that make sense? So because I was living in my masculine for so long, a lot of that still shows up in my relationship now. And it's like, okay, how can I trust the situation, trust myself, trust the relationship enough to kind of like lean back and just allow things to happen? And that's like, I know like a lot of the people I talk to, a lot of clients I talk to have a hard time with that idea, because it's like, oh, if I don't do it, especially moms, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done, right? If I don't tell him exactly what I need and all that stuff, like, he's not going to do it. There's a lot with that. Just, yeah, I mean, I could go on a whole talk about just like masculine and feminine energy. But the point of this is to understand that flow is just about being in your authentic self, which means tuning in and listening to your intuition and really trusting that. A lot of the time we have trouble trusting our intuition simply because we're not used to it. You know, all of us have had gut feelings about things and have maybe gone with it, maybe gone against it, but we all have the ability to listen to our intuition. But a lot of time we don't trust it because we're taught to listen to other people, like listen to other people's advice, listen to this person because they're more successful, listen to that person because they're your mom, you know, whatever it is, like your mentors. We're taught to listen to other people all the time instead of listening to our own bodies. But trusting your intuition is how you can really live a life of ease and flow, because you're always right. You always know the right thing to do. No one knows you. No one knows your life better than you do. And it's just a matter of believing that, because we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. We trust other people more than we trust ourselves. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. But yeah, let me know if that resonates with you. Let me know if you want me to expand on any of the concepts that I spoke about today. Leave a comment if you're watching the replay. And yeah, if you guys don't have anything, I guess that's it. Don't forget, tomorrow I'm gonna be talking about holiday stress, which is so important because the holidays are stressful, and I feel like nobody talks about it enough. Like, people complain and everything, but it's like, okay, how can we go through the holidays kind of like all together and not in pieces? You know, there's so much anxiety around like what to get people and like, you know, what to wear for your holiday parties. And, you know, if you're hosting a holiday party, that's like a whole other, you know, bag of stress. But and then like combating loneliness. Like, so a lot of people maybe are dealing with losses during the holidays, and then it's particularly sad when someone who they're used to having around during the holidays isn't there. That adds to a lot. And also this expectation of being happy during the holidays, being joyful and grateful. Like, there's so much pressure for us to just be happy because, like, oh, you should be happy because it's Christmas or whatever. You should be thankful. I don't know, you know, whatever people say. But yeah, so that's tomorrow. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, just leave a comment if you want me to answer anything, or if you want more clarification around like flow and masculine and feminine energy. But yeah, if you guys don't have anything. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and talk to you soon. Bye.